Hey guys, welcome back to the Book Haven. This is Raven, and we have a fun episode. So, get you something warm to drink, and let's get this episode started. All right, so for our bookish question, we're going to start out this episode with the bookish question, and it is: what is the strangest and weirdest thing that you've ever read about? Rachel, what is the
Okay.
strangest, weirdest thing that you've ever read about?
Okay. So I need everyone to just go along with me on this one, okay? Because it
It's going to
is
be a
weird.
bumpy ride.
It's going to be a bumpy ride. I feel like I was trying to remember who told me to read this book. I think it was somebody in our homeschool co op. It is called Dr. Mary's Monkeys. Okay. And the subtitle to that is super long. So, how the unsolved murder of a doctor, a secret laboratory in New Orleans, and cancer causing monkey viruses are linked to Lee Harvey, assassination, and emerging global epidemics.
That is a
So,
mouthful.
I know. And okay, this book is so all over the place. Like they do a good job with that title because it really is. You start off with like murder and then it moves into like these monkeys escape and like all this stuff and then it somehow connects back into Lee Harvey Oswald. So here is my synopsis for this. Okay, so this is in 1964. There is a lady, Dr. Mary, who's working in this like research center. And this takes place in New Orleans, which at the time I was living in New Orleans, which is kind of weird and creepy. But not that New Orleans is weird and creepy, but it was weird that I was reading about the story
Not
that
at
happened
all.
here.
Not at
Yeah.
all.
So anyways, okay. So but I can't even figure out where to start this telling you about it, but it is so interesting. Okay, so it's talking about this lady. She's doing experiments on monkeys with these viruses, and like they're trying to I don't even know what the medical goal was. I think they were just trying out like different forms of treating viruses or something. Um, and I can't remember if they like cancer causing stuff, like that kind of situation. So she's working, I think, at a college here and doing research. She ends up somehow getting connected with Lee Harvey Oswald, and they like are dating, have like some sort of relationship. Then it ends up funneling into like he goes and assassinates the president, and then but there's this whole conspiracy, which I think most people have heard of that, like he didn't actually do it. He was framed, all this stuff. Like there were other people involved. And in this book, she ties it back to that some of the people that run medical stuff here in the state of Louisiana are somehow tied to the fact that they didn't like Kennedy and wanted him gone. And so they used Lee Harvey Oswald as like a scapegoat to, I don't know. This book is so crazy. So you like, there's just so much going on. I'm not
That's
even doing it justice, but there is so much going on.
wow. I remember you talking about this one, but I guess I've forgotten what it was really about. Oh my goodness. Now I want to read
Yeah,
it.
it is crazy. Like I remember reading it and thinking, what? Like how can we even move on to this next crazy thing that you're talking about? And how can one person be involved in so much stuff? Like and it just kept escalating and escalating. To all like more crazy and more crazy and more crazy. So, if you need like I to me this is the perfect rabbit hole book because it is so bizarre and so just crazy that you could really go on several rabbit holes with this one.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to add that to my list.
It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, but cuz it's nonfiction, it is kind of told in a story format though because you are following Dr. Mary, but and like her life, but it is crazy. Like it's just I can't even. I should probably go back and read it just because I
We
probably
probably
won't,
should because
but
I'm going to
yeah.
read it and then we're going to need to talk about it some more.
I know whenever I read it, I only knew one person that had read it. And I'm pretty sure I tried to get you to read it. I think I tried to get my sister-in-law to read it. Like nobody wanted to read the book with me. So
Well, I'll read it.
thank you.
It takes me a while to come around, Rachel.
I know.
Okay.
So do you have a book that, sorry, that was a long-winded explanation of my crazy one, but
No, that was great. So mine, I don't know that I would consider it strangest or weirdest. I actually, okay, I'll talk about one that we have on our list, but there's another one that just came to mind um, that we both have read. But this one is Kingdom of the Cults. And I think it was just, I don't know, strange, weird, maybe, to read about different religious cults that are out there. So this is a book. It's a very, very thick book. I did the audio and it took me a very long time.
yeah, how long?
But it's,
I mean, I have a copy and it's huge.
I don't know, like I feel like I'll have to look it up. But it's by Walter Martin and I don't know, he was kind of trying to um he was a man who was trying to reach people that were in cults and help them see that they were deceived. But this one was just really, I don't know, I guess it would be strange and weird to me because, I came from a cult and seeing all of the different beliefs from several of these different cults and how where I come from, it was kind of a mixture of all of those, which was really weird for me to kind of grasp and see and be like, but we weren't a part of that group, but like that's what we believed. And so I would say it was strange and weird in that aspect. But another one that I want to talk about, um, what was the name of that book, Rachel?
Okay, hold on. The
That was
Kingdom of the Colts audiobook says that it's 27 and a half hours.
yes, I was gonna say it's close to 30.
Do you think that that is the longest or like audiobook
No.
that you've ever? What's the
N-
longest? This is a total side question, but
I don't know.
I
That's a
think I've
great
had one
question.
close to 30. We could save that for a different podcast. Anyways.
Well, we're fixing to read Harry Potter, and that one there's in one of the books it's like 26 hours. I feel like Jane
Oh,
Eyre is pretty long. I don't feel like
but
it's that long
30?
though.
I don't
No.
know.
I don't know. That one might be the longest one I've ever read. But
Yeah.
the other
Okay,
one
sorry.
that I was going to talk about, The Secrets of a Charmed Life, is
I
that,
didn't read that.
are you sure? The one about the leprosy colony.
Secret. Oh,
What
I
is the
thought
name
you
of
were
that
talking
book?
about the one. Hold on. Amanda Skinador.
What is the name of the book?
It's The Second Life.
The Second. There you go. Yes. Okay. So, the one that I was going to talk about, another one I was going to talk about was The Secret Life of
No,
Marilla.
The Second Life.
I keep saying the secret. The Second Life of Marielle West.
Oh,
I don't
maybe
think
it
I did
is
the audio.
Muriel. Maybe.
Marielle. I think you're right.
We'll
Okay.
have it linked below.
Yes, this one was very interesting because it's in the 20s and they actually had leprosy colonies. Do you remember this book, Rachel?
Yeah.
And she goes to the doctor and they like discover that she has leprosy. You find this out early in the book, so that's not a secret. Um, and like immediately she's isolated and then they
Mm-hmm.
ship her to a leper home in Louisiana.
I know. Why is everything in Louisiana?
So, and you know like the location, right? Did you go into a nosedive on this and find where this was?
I feel like I
Caraville?
did. Yeah.
I remember you did because you were talking about it and that's why I read the book.
Well, because I
um,
think I was probably like, I wonder if there's anything there
yeah.
for me to go look at. It's actually like south of Baton Rouge. So,
Yeah. So This one was an interesting one just because, I mean, you think of leprosy and you think of like Bible times, right? You don't think
Yeah.
of the roaring 20s and people were going to the doctor and finding out they had leprosy. And this woman was like in the elite class, if I remember right.
Yeah, high
And
society, yeah.
she had kids, she was married, and she was just shipped off
Yeah.
and had to go live with other lepers. In anyways, that one is another one that just made my mind explode because yeah, I didn't know about
That
that.
yeah, that was so good because yeah, that was stuff I had never heard of, but just the trauma of like, yeah,
Hmm.
one day you are this and now you're this and you have to go and live a completely separate life from your people.
Yeah.
Um and it's just crazy. So the book is her trying to figure out how to, move forward with that. But yeah, very
And
interesting topic.
that one is historical fiction, but like that one
Yeah.
was a crazy one for me because I never knew.
Well, I mean, it was a real thing, the
Hmm.
Louisiana state leprosy colony, and they
Yeah.
would just ship people there, and you basically just went there to die because there's
Yeah.
nothing that they could do for you. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
interesting.
Okay. What else do you have on your list of rabbit hole? We kind of went through mine, so now we're going to go through Rachel's.
Well, so the next book is Yamin Park's In Order to Live, A North Korean Girl's Journey to Freedom. She just had a new one come out this year, which is While Time Remains, and I haven't read that one. Did you read that one?
I started it, which I don't know. I feel like I finished it too, but yeah, and we actually got to see her this year, so that was kind of cool
Yeah,
to actually, yeah, hear part of her story.
yeah. So for those that don't know, she which it kind of says in the title, but she grew up in North Korea, and so the book In Order to Live is her escaping from North Korea and kind of what happens to her, what happens to her family, and their journey of that. And it is just insane that
Hmm.
people have to do these things and live this way. And the way she talks, like in nowadays times, in our current society, it's not current society in our current times, but she like the way she talks about growing up in North Korea and just like they would walk by dead bodies and she was like, I didn't even think anything of it. Like I didn't know to be like concerned with it because it was just so
Hmm.
normal. Like the way she talks about growing up is just insane.
Yeah.
So
And
I
just to give some reference, like she's only 30. So like
yes.
in her book when she talks about like that is within the last 30 years. I think some
Yeah.
people kind
Yeah.
of if they don't know who she is, think she's probably older, but she's only
Yeah.
30.
It says, I'm looking it up. She says that they fled North Korea in 2007 when she was
Yeah.
13.
Yeah.
So, yeah, she's pretty young and she's very intelligent. And so it's interesting to see her journey um, of like propelling herself kind of out of that, out of where she came from. But
Right.
I mean, you have to have some crazy desire and, you know, to I don't know, keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Because she just I think she could have easily just said, like, this is my lot in life and it's not gonna get any better. But she always kept pushing to get better, to get her family in a better situation, like not staying in the situations that they were in.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
she is a very interesting person and even like seeing her like when you see her in videos and stuff, you know how incredibly tiny she is.
yeah.
But in person, I mean, she is extremely tiny because of the malnutrition of
Yeah.
her childhood. And I don't know, it's just it was something to like actually see that in real life and know that that is the reason
Yeah.
why and just the things that she suffered. Just even when they did escape, how much suffering there was. Because when
Yeah,
they
it
did,
wasn't yeah.
yeah, when they escaped, North Korea into South Korea, there was a different type of oppression
I think
there.
they went from North Korea to China, I think.
I meant China, sorry. There was a different
Yeah.
type. Yeah, and
Yeah.
then when they finally got to South Korea, then there it was another type of, um
There just constant barriers of
right.
like
Yeah.
she could have just said, I'm
Mhm.
tired, I'm done. But the perseverance, she just kept going because she knew
Yeah.
that it could get better. But I think the most fascinating part of that book for me was just hearing her talk about growing up in North Korea because
Yeah.
it is such a not a lot of people escape. I don't think we just have any concept of how they are living.
Right.
And it's just crazy to think that this is going on nowadays in modern times. And,
Yeah.
I don't know. So,
It's very sad. She's
yeah.
also a very interesting person just because she's still using her voice. It's like she hasn't forgotten where she's come from, like just to come over here to America and live the American dream. She
Right. Yeah.
she is I feel like she's using her voice for good and but yeah,
Well, and
she's a very interesting person.
that second book that she had come out this year is kind of trying to alert America like you're not as immune to bad things taking over your country or your country
Yeah,
falling apart. Like this could happen because there are signs here that I have seen other places.
right.
So, yeah, because again, she could have just stopped. Like she got a degree, she could just live a happy life, and she's trying to make everybody aware of situations. So
Yeah.
good for her. But she also has, if you don't want to read the book or don't have time or whatever, she has done a lot of interviews, really, really good interviews too. So
Yeah.
where you could learn more about her.
Yeah. She's a very, very interesting person.
Yes. So, and then my next kind of deep dive, which I'm going to try to not have it get political. Um, I read Israel, a concise history. Um, that's my condensed version of that title because it's long. But
Yeah.
and I know you're reading. Did you finish that one about
I'm
Israel?
reading Israel Noah Tishby's book,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yeah.
I can talk about that. Why don't you tell us about the
Well,
one you read?
the Israel one it's just very interesting, and I think I've kind of already mentioned it on like what we were currently reading, but it does a really good job of going back to like the 1800s, really, of how the first
Hmm.
ideas of having a state and whether it should be a state or like an area. Just it was very fascinating, and it kind of goes through how they got to where they are now. But I also saw that a lot of people were putting on Goodreads. There's a book called Son of Hamas.
Yes, I
And
just added that one to my list.
right. So I don't know where I saw that you had it, and then I had somebody else have it on their Goodreads. And so I was like, oh, well, this is interesting. Um, I don't, it's Musab Hassan Yosef. Sorry if I
Good
messed that up,
job,
but
Rachel. That actually sounded pretty good.
so the title is Son of Hamas, a gripping account of terror, betrayal, political intrigue, and unthinkable choice. And this guy, his father is like a prominent figure in Hamas. I think still. I haven't quite finished it. I'm almost done. But anyways, he is a Christian now. So he is not still in Hamas, but he kind of talks about how it originated, at least with his dad. And he kind of was in it and got mixed up in it and got sent to prison. And it's really, really fascinating. And I kind of wanted to read it in juxtaposition of the Israel book, because not that the Israel book kind of like made everything they did okay. Like it did acknowledge where they had maybe people that kind of made bad choices and stuff. But I kind of wanted to see like what is the other side like, because they're just as passionate. So
Yeah.
what are the two kind of sides? And I liked that somebody said in a video that I just watched recently about how people like us can't really commentate on a situation like that's going on somewhere, because it is so nuanced that it's not just black and white, that it's totally more than just reading historical books about it and that kind of stuff. So I'm not by any means acting like I know what's going on, but
Yeah.
I think it's just good to maybe spend some time being more aware of stuff. So sorry, that was my long
Yeah.
ramble of that, but
No,
it's
that
just
was
very
good.
it's just very interesting to see the kind of two sides.
Yeah. Yeah. I really like that. I am reading Noah Tishby's book on Israel. So Noah Tishby is not a religious, she is Jewish. She's not religious um, at all. Uh, I will say there is a lot of language in this book. If you listen to the audio, so I'm listening to the audio because I can't but I have the book. So I'm kind of like
Yeah.
marking pages. But what I'm noticing is like in the book, um, the language is not as much. So I don't know
Yeah.
if she just got carried away in on the audio or what, but she actually reads it. And so she grew up in Israel, but not really understanding their history. And so she has a lot of experience with like living there and living in that environment. But she also doesn't come um, at it as like very one sided. She's giving the history and just the facts. And she also doesn't glaze over places where either side is wrong, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. So like
Yeah.
she doesn't paint Israel as like a saint either.
Yeah.
It's very interesting just learning even some of like her family history and what their beliefs are, and just I don't know, learning about the culture is just like right now Rachel, she's talking about hummus. And I'm like, I
Oh,
want to go to
nice.
Fadi's and get some hummus now. um but they pronounce it different. um I was just listening to it this morning. Now I can't think of how they said it, but I was like, I'm gonna say it like that from now on. um but there's a lot of like humor too in the book. She's really funny. I would say listen to the audio. Like I said, there is
Mhm.
a lot of heavy language in there, but her humor comes through with her reading it, and just it's really good. It's really really good. I think I'm about 2 hours to finish,
Okay.
and obviously, I can't like grasp every detail, and I don't live there. I don't really understand every like the geographic. Um, I think
Yeah.
probably my biggest takeaway is just actually how small Israel is,
Yeah.
and she put it into like um, terms of like how many hours from top to bottom, and I don't know, that just kind of put it in perspective for me too.
Yeah.
Um, but
Well,
yeah,
and I
she's
think it sounds more like yours is like the one that I read,
yeah.
it felt more like a history book. Like there wasn't
No, yeah, this one
anecdotes and
is
stuff like
not.
that.
Yeah, this one doesn't feel like that at all. It actually feels like someone that I don't know if that guy that did yours, what was his name? Daniel something?
Yeah.
Is he from there? Or is he
Y-
just like
y-
a
I think so.
okay. Well, I don't know. I just feel like she's coming from it in a like very I don't how would you maybe non-biased way,
Yeah.
but just presenting the facts. And I mean, I'm sure I know she's biased towards Israel, but it doesn't come across like that in the book, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
um, she really does have a lot of compassion for the other side, the innocent people, on the other side, and believes they should be able to operate freely.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. I think that I've been following her on Instagram.
mhm.
And she's been trying to give, I think, unbiased, what's really going on over there, but um Yeah, she definitely is a character, so I could imagine that her book would be
She's a lot of fun. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like that is someone that I would probably not agree with on a lot of issues, but I think she would be a really fun person to meet. And she talks about even like talking and being in relationship with people that you don't agree with. And I love that. Like, I was like, I'm
Yeah.
sold. I love you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think it's oh, I lost my train of thought. Never mind.
Come back,
I
train.
know, go factory. Um, hmm, I don't know where it went, but it went away.
Okay, so
Anyways,
then shifting a little bit until your train comes back.
okay.
Um, I have another book that I actually have no real knowledge about it, but there's a book on my nightstand that I'm fixing to go. There will be a rabbit hole on this one. I'm fairly certain. And I know there's a movie out, but I'm not watching the movie until I read the book. But The Killers of
Oh,
the Flower Moon.
yeah.
Okay, I know nothing. What? Did you watch the movie?
No.
Oh, I thought you were like, yeah.
No. No, I
um,
have to read the book before I watch the movie, but
yeah, so
I don't know.
I feel like it's gonna be a rabbit hole for me.
I'm gonna let you take this one first, and then you can let me know if it's like worth the read. But yeah,
Yeah, I'm not a huge person on violence, but I feel like there's
yeah,
gonna be a lot of violence in this one.
that's kind of what I'm worried about. Is it gonna be really, really graphic?
And so that's kind of how I'm judging if I'm going, because I can read about violence to a point, but I do not like watching it.
Yeah.
So I might sit the movie out. But yeah, so I just figured
Well,
I'd share another
is
nose.
that one historical fiction or is that a nonfiction book?
No, I'm pretty certain it's nonfiction because it has like actual
Oh,
like
okay.
pictures in there, and I just kind of thumbed through it.
Okay. So I read a book a while back, and I guess a year ago, and it is called The New Trail of Tears, and it is
Oh
how
yeah.
Washington is destroying American Indians. That book is fascinating. It is so sad. I say it with that like caveat, but it goes back to like how when America, pushed all of the Native Americans into this
Mhm.
area or into these groups and doing the reservations and then how because there's a lot of stuff. We lived in Oklahoma for a while, and so you know about reservations and how they don't have to pay taxes or like
Right.
all these kind of like caveats that they get. Well, so this book basically goes in and is like why all of those things are hurting them. They're not able to like own any of the land on the reservation. So they're never like able to buy houses or anything. And it's just like the government provides these houses. And like it is super fascinating. It talks about the school systems on the
Mhm.
reservations and drugs and alcohol abuse. And it just, so maybe when you're done with The Killer of Flower Moon or whatever it's called, you should read that one. That is a nonfiction, but it was super talking about this would have gone I should have remembered it earlier, but it totally brings up stuff that I had never like you just kind of vaguely know about it, but she
Yeah.
goes into a really good, I think it's a she, the author goes into a a deep dive, and she went around and interviewed different people and really got to be aware of the situation and learned some of the key players, and it was really, really well done.
Yeah. Okay, I grabbed my book, so I'm going to read the back of the blurb. It's
Okay.
pretty short. It says in the 1920s, the richest people per capita in the world were members of the Osage Nation in Oklahoma. After oil was discovered beneath their land, they rode in chauffeured cars and lived in mansions. And then one by one, the Osage began to be killed. Molly Burkhart watched as her family became a prime target. Her relatives were shot and poisoned. Other Osage were also dying under mysterious circumstances, and many of those who investigated the crimes were themselves murdered. As the death toll rose, The case was taken up by the newly created FBI and its young secretive director, J. Edgar Hoover. Struggling to crack the mystery, Hoover turned to a former Texas Ranger named Tom White, who put together an undercover team, including a Native American agent. They infiltrated the last remnant of the Wild West and, together with the Osage, began to expose one of the most chilling conspiracies in American history. So, that is what
Super.
it's about.
Yeah, that's super interesting. It sounds very interesting. I'm just who wrote it? Who's the author?
The author is David Gran.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know him. So,
Yeah. I'm
uh,
intrigued.
yeah.
I think
I'm excited for you to read it and then tell me if I should read it.
I like that that a lot of the books that we've talked about, I've read a different book on the same topic, but
Yeah.
we're still
Yeah.
our
That's
Israel
like,
books, and
yeah, I think that's fun. So,
yeah,
yeah, kind of getting different perspectives. And that's you should never just take one book as like the gospel truth, right? Like
yeah,
there are so many sides to this different stories, and again going back to my, you know, junior and high school curriculum and their history book that they're reading, like we start off the year talking about how books are biased, and so it's
right,
been interesting reading it, and the kids are like, I think they might be, you know, kind of showing their bias in this situation.
hmm,
But it's super fascinating and informative for you to go, oh, that kind of sounds a little wonky, let me do my own research on that to see, you know.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
I love reading from other perspectives that maybe I
yeah,
disagree with, or that I just to help me think. It just helps.
yeah,
So
yeah,
go down some rabbit holes, people.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
lot of fun.
Okay, thanks for going down the rabbit holes with us. And we hope that you have maybe heard something that sounds intriguing and you check it out and let us know in the comments or on Instagram or wherever you're following us. And maybe if you have a good recommendation, you could share it with us because we totally are always looking for more books to go down rabbit holes with. So thanks for
Yes.
listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.